Welcome to Dance Fit Biz Builders. I'm Orit, dancer, instructor, and proud owner of a thriving belly dance fitness business. And in this podcast, I'm giving it to you straight, sharing what it takes to kickstart and grow your dance and fitness business for the success you deserve. Whether you're a seasoned instructor, a passionate performer, or dreaming of turning your love for dance and fitness into a thriving career, you're in the right place. Lace up those sneakers and pull on those dance shoes and get ready for truth smacks, tips, and inspiration. Let's do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dance Fit Biz Builders. I'm Orit, your host, and this is episode 48. Wow. Time flies. I just can't believe we've done 48 already. Wow.
That's my age.
Oh, is it? That's Jason, by the way. Yes. Welcome to the club. I'm 51. Doesn't it feel great?
It feels great. Oh God, stretching. I feel great. I feel great. I just like that number.
You know why I feel great is because, we know our shit now. We know who we are. I know thyself.
It does take time. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And when you know thyself, you're just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I feel good.
So everybody, we have Jason Layden of Halio Jam. I am so thrilled that he's here because we're going to talk all about business. And like myself, I have a business as well, but I'm always learning and I want to know any tidbits, any secrets, how he blew up. So before we get started, Jason, I want to say hello. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. And honestly, I love talking to other dance fitness biz owners. I just do. Because you do. I back when I started this, that's how I learned. You learn from talking to other people and figuring out what it was that they did and what worked and what didn't work. And obviously, 13 years ago is different than what's happening with like the industry today. But yeah, you learn from talking to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to rewind and I want to know, well, tell our audience a little bit more about you. How the heck did you get into dance and fitness?
I was at LA Fitness and I was with my friend and we were taking a Zumba class. And I remember going, this is fun. And I remember just being really good at it. And I was just like, I'm pretty good at this. And my friend Janine, she was like, yeah, you're good at this. And so I went a couple times and I remember the teacher, I don't remember her name, I could see her face. And she goes, do you teach? And I was like, teach? And she's like, yeah, do you teach dance? I'm like, no. She goes, you nothing? I'm like, no, I just come to the gym, I work out. This was in 2010. And my friend goes, you're good at this. I said, well, I was in a boy band for 10 years. And so I was a dancer and I studied with choreographers and I was never a trained dancer, but I was always picking up choreography pretty darn good, if I don't say so myself. So I never thought about it. It was nothing that ever crossed my mind. At the time, I was doing stand-up comedy. I was doing like acting and improv stuff. It wasn't even something that was on my radar. I worked out. I don't think I worked out really well, but at that time I was like looking for something to just get my cardio in. And that's how I fell upon just even understanding what dance fitness, just group fitness, if anything, what that was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I forgot that you were in a boy band. We got to talk a little bit more about that later. I want to hear you sing.
No, not singing. But you could look up the albums. They're on like Spotify. They're on like Apple Music. It's Frequency 5.
Wow.
Viewers or listeners, like write that down.
Frequency 5. Great.
Yes.
And how long did you do that for?
I did that for quite some time. I got recruited for that band in 1999. So you can imagine I was very young then. And I think it went on for about 7 or 8 years. And we went to Asia. We did all kinds of shows. We did like that Kiss FM, all those big parties that they would have. So it was fun.
Oh, wow.
3 albums. So yeah.
Wow. So you're definitely an entertainer. You're a singer, you're a comedian, you're a dancer.
Yeah, I did a lot.
Wow.
God, was this a reflection time? Like we're just reflecting.
I mean, but I'm sure it all helps what you do now.
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, it's even like, and you know this about me. It's part of why I even do a lot of the coaching and workshops that I do to help other fitness enthusiasts and instructors build their businesses and their classes and stuff. So it's definitely something that I pull from for
Yeah.
sure.
So tell me, Jason, what sparked the idea for PlyoJam? Was there something missing in the industry?
Well, when actually started teaching dance fitness, it wasn't until 2011, April 18th. I'll never forget that date ever. And I remember I put my playlist together and I was like, oh, I got this. And I was kind of just doing my own thing. I never adopted any kind of format, but I was like, oh, I was watching videos and I just kind of was like, oh, I'm gonna, I did what I could in terms of putting a class together. I don't think I knew what I was doing. But at the time, I was working at a beach club and it was on the beach and it was very exclusive. And I was a bartender at this particular club. So everybody knew me. Everyone knew me. So when I told everyone I was going to teach a dance class, well, all those ladies are like, I'm taking a dance class. But they had no idea what I was doing, right? So I was like, yeah, this will be fun. Now you have to remember, this was like, I was already in my mid 30s at this point. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to pull this off. And I quickly realized after probably 4 or 5 months that this was a gym. And I was like, these ladies were coming up to me, sitting with me at the bar, having these like conversations about trying to get fit, healthy, and trying to maximize their time. And I that's when I realized that these ladies were there to physically work out. Like they wanted to burn some serious calories. And at the time, I was training with a personal trainer, um, and I think it was right around the time like P90X and Insanity and all of those, those really fun workouts that were pushing the term plyometrics. And so I was doing them myself, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of cool, and maybe this is something that I could adapt somehow. And it took me a lot of time. It did. I sat with a lot of different people. I was like, how do I make this work? How do I seamlessly place this into what people call a dance fitness class? And so it was probably talking to people that really sparked the idea. And
Mhm.
when I say people, I'm talking about like my students. And these students were all like upper 40s into their 50s, trying to sort of maximize their time. They didn't want to get on the treadmill. They didn't want to get on the elliptical or any of that stuff. They wanted to get their hour workout in and feel like they burned a significant amount of calories so they can go on with their day. Right. And so that's why I came up with the idea of merging plyometrics with dance fitness.
But did you hop on the plyometrics kind of concept because it was trendy or because you liked it or both?
Both. It was definitely both. Because like remember at the time, I wasn't this fitness guru. I was learning myself. So
Yeah.
if I'm taking these classes and I'm like, this is a term that's used a lot. And when you're I don't know if it's that big now, but when you work at gyms, you're required to have a group fitness certification. So you have to have a certain amount of training. So
Mhm.
you start learning these things and you're just like, huh, there's something to this. And so, and at the time, I started making a lot of friends with other dance teachers. And these teachers are teachers that like created their own concepts. I was sort of getting. I met a lady named Heidi who connected me with a guy named Alan, who connected me with another girl named Missy, and then another girl, and all these people had their own concepts. Boyega, Groove Three, the Groove Method. All of these people had their own concept. At the time, I wasn't even thinking concept. I was just thinking, how do I curate a class that's going to give enough of like, oh, to make people go, God, this is a great workout. I'm gonna tell my friends about it. Woohoo, yeah, like right. That's all my brain was going to.
Yeah.
And so I was in creative mode at that point. I was like, okay, I need to create a class that I have to even see if it's gonna work. I don't
Yeah.
even know. I was just like, I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of studying. I realized that, plyometrics plyometrics, like true plyometrics, can be very difficult, box jumps and stuff like that. But I also knew that there was a lot of spin-offs. There was inspired plyometrics, like
Yeah.
the short fast movements. How do we do the short fast movements? And then I started taking agility classes. You know those like old school ladders that people throw out of their,
Yes.
and it's like a rope.
Yes.
Well, you would take classes and people would be doing agility training around this was big again 10 years ago, where they were doing stuff around that ladder. And then I realized I could dance around that ladder. And so I started coming up with like basic like movements that were dancing and then jumping around that ladder. And that's really how I started curating the actual choreography and going, oh, these movements can be repeated. These
Yeah.
movements can be incorporated somehow with hip hop and jazzy moves and stuff like that. Because honestly, I'm not that young, so my brain goes to '90s dancing. That's why I love '90s dancing.
Yeah.
So and you, I think you've taken my class. My
Yeah.
style is very
Yeah.
90s. Like
Yeah.
people be like, okay, he's a '90s kid.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So our audience, I mean, although some people don't have brands, some people are just teaching fitness, some just dance. We are our own brand, whether you're just teaching classes. But like, what do you think makes someone to start thinking about a concept versus someone who just wants to teach classes at a gym or a dance facility? Like, what? Why?
Well, I will tell you, for me, like it wasn't. I never really even considered a concept until I took this class, and this is again, we're going back a fair amount of years when YouTube became very popular 15 years ago or 14 years ago or whatever. And so I realized, because I told you I was doing stand-up comedy, I was doing improv. I took this class, and it was pretty much about people that were trying to be online personalities. Like, how do you be an online personality? How do you host a show? How do you get in front of people? Sort of like what you're doing now, but we're talking podcasts weren't even a thing back then. I took this class. It's where I met my husband. I learned what branding meant. I learned how people have to brand themselves. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never, like, I was like, taking acting classes, singing, but I never heard of, what do you mean by branding yourself? And I, um, so you basically have to be an expert in something. And I was like, am I an expert in anything? I started like thinking, like, am I an expert? Like, what am I an expert in? And so you start thinking about things that you're good at, like people that teach. It's like, you're an expert. You're much better than anybody else in that class. You know 95%. I realize I know 95% more than anyone in that class. So what I'm teaching, I'm now an expert in. I'm now teaching. So I kept thinking about that, and that's what, like, made me think of branding myself. I wasn't yet at the concept, but branding myself as this, like, fitness guy, like, this is completely new to me. Remember, I told you I went to the gym. This was nothing that I thought of, but I realized I was good at it. I was innately I was just it was just something that was so easy and good at, and I didn't realize how easy it was for me to just make up routines and do this and get in front of 30, 40 people. I'm like, why am I good at this? That's what made me think of branding myself. And I do think today, when I do talk to other instructors, I do tell them exactly what you said. You look at yourself as your own business, you look at yourself as a brand. You are, special in some way. You are your own brand, and ideally all of these instructors are. I don't care if you're teaching Zumba, if you're teaching, Power Fit, or like some kind of yoga class that's branded. You are still your own brand. You have
Yes.
to create your own little world. And anyway, so that's how I thought about it.
Amazing. So everyone has their own uniqueness.
Yeah.
So can you explain to the audience, how do you suggest that they try to think about what their uniqueness is? How do they find out about it?
It's called self-reflecting.
Okay.
It's a lot of self-reflecting. It's like really looking at who you are, and how you engage with people. Like, if you're someone who's just really still in your moment and really like quiet, and maybe you're very intriguing in certain ways when you speak, you may lean towards like yoga or something like that. Like I don't know, like we all have our own little teaching style. I see, this is the thing. I feel like when I talk to people, they're like, "Well, I'm not funny." I'm like, "Well, no one's telling you have to be funny. You can be empowering. You can be someone that's very educational, and you can be very inspiring in different ways." But people automatically go, "Oh, I have to be funny. I have to entertain." You know, I think that there is definitely a level of entertaining. And again, we're in a different world right now. We have influencers all over the place.
Mhm.
And these influencers now have a platform to entertain. And entertaining means anything. Cooking food, setting up a dog show, like whatever it is they're doing. But they're entertaining people in whatever way they feel like that works for them, like that creative outlet, like we all have that little bit of creative outlet that want to entertain. And so and again, that I do sit with and I do workshops with people, and I never want people to feel like I'm telling them what to do.
Mhm.
I want people to find their own authentic voice.
Mhm.
And it's funny, again, it's funny. I just had this conversation with someone. I took lots of acting classes in my early 20s. And they tell you when you get a script, you have to make it your own. You have to, it has to, the director and the casting directors, they're looking for an essence. They're looking for a certain essence in someone. But in order for them to see your essence, you have to be very authentic and real somehow with the material you're reading that's not even your words. And so, when I told you earlier, when I took that online hosting class thing,
Mhm.
I remember taking one of the workshops, and they were trying so hard to make all 20 people say the same copy the same way.
Mhm.
Sort of like news people. News people sound very like monotone,
Yep.
but let's be honest, today people are listening to the influencers because they're so engaging, and they're very real, and the way they react and respond to things. And that's really how people, I feel like, when they're group fitness instructors, when you're reacting and responding in a real authentic way, the people in your class they're going to feel that. They're
Yeah.
definitely going to feel that. It's the whole goal with what I do and what all these instructors do is like, you want to gain more students and retain them.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to
Absolutely.
retain them is if they like you. And so
Yeah.
you got to like make them like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somehow.
All right. So, Jason, you've got your uniqueness, right? You've created a brand. Now, did you initially market Plyo in the beginning?
Well, first off, I needed Plyo to be a Plyo. And so I met with this lady who created um, this concept called Boyaka. Um, and I also connected with another girl who created the Groove Method. Her name is Missy. And they were like, "Yeah, Jason, concepts are hard." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Oh, it's hard." And I was like, "Well, even from the very beginning, right, I've always wanted to help instructors." They're like, "Well, you created this great thing. You should just do your own thing, start doing YouTube videos, do your own thing." I said, "No, but I want to like create like the concept so other instructors could like share this choreography and this workout with other, and very Zumba like, I'm like, I had that in my head that I wanted to help other instructors, although my other friends were like, "Why, just keep it for yourself, why are you sharing all this?" "No, I want everyone to be successful." I'm like, I don't know. So I created a concept, and the concept creation, it's funny, I was like, how do I do this? How do I create a concept? So when I started putting together techniques, I started pulling from like what I understand from acting and stand-up comedy, and I used a lot of the same terms. And so it came together pretty quickly once I got it together. And I remember this lady in my class, and she was like, "Jason, you need someone to help you sort of brand this and put the concept together and get it out there." And so she was a branding expert. So she came in and really sort of helped me fine tune it and sort of put it out there. At the time, she goes, "You need social media." She goes, "Have you heard of Instagram?" I can't remember. Instagram wasn't even a thing. So Instagram had just started. So I was like, "Oh yeah, I should do Instagram." Duh. Oh, duh. You know? And so I started creating Instagram videos, and I started doing YouTube videos, and I slowly started doing things. Now remember, back when this was when YouTube wouldn't just rip stuff down. So I started getting more and more people to sort of, kind of see it. And I was like, well, now how am I going to get instructors to want to actually teach this? How do I do this? Like, how do I even start getting it out there? This is what you were just asking. I started teaching at dance studios. I moved from teaching at a gym at a country club and started going to some of the bigger dance studios in Los Angeles. And when I went there, I mean, when I tell you big dance studios, there were like, I swear some of these classes had 60, 70, 80 people in it. It was ridiculous. There was classes called Carnival. There were just so many different classes. And I was like, I just have to dive in. I just have to dive in and let people see what it is I'm doing and hope to God more people jump onto this in terms of getting students. Because, if you're a teacher, you're like, "Wow, that guy has a great class. Oh, what's he teaching?" Well, if I only had 5 people, they're going to go, "Wait, I don't know if I want to teach this. It doesn't seem like it's catching on." So I had to prove myself. I really had to make sure I had a concept that worked that people wanted to take.
Yep.
And so that took probably 3 years because I did not launch this brand until 2014.
Mhm.
And I decided I was going to launch it with a DVD. So
Mhm.
I produced the DVD on my own. At the same time, I knew I needed a product. I was like, I am the expert. I need a product. I
Mhm.
can't just be the person. I need a product. Like people have a book,
Right.
So some people have a book. I'm like, I have a DVD. Look at me. I'm on the cover of it, right? So that gives me something to talk about. That gives press. It gives publications. It opens the door to that type of stuff. Remember, I was in Los Angeles, and when you're in Los Angeles, if you're in the right place,
Yes.
you have writers, you have people that are, part of different publications.
Mhm.
That's how I got on Pop Sugar. That's
Yep.
not an easy platform to get on, but I was lucky because the host was a member at the club and she took my class.
Yeah.
And if I was good enough and I wowed her, she's like, "Oh, gotta get you on this Pop Sugar video or whatever."
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how I slowly launched it, but it took time. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to tell you, when I jumped from country club to dance studios that had like dance fitness and stuff, I had 6 people, maybe 7,
Mm.
if I was lucky, because the people from the country club, they weren't coming to this dance studio. They were all from a gym. So I had to wow the pants off of every person that walked in that door.
Yeah.
And I had to make sure that they loved me somehow. Somehow. I don't even
Yeah.
know. And that took time. I tell people growth takes time. You just have to be patient and just be consistent and just keep going.
And you think you're in LA, it'll be so easy, but it's not. It's not.
Competitive.
Yeah, it's very competitive. But the thing is that you weren't just lucky, right? You were consistent, so the opportunities were there for you because you always showed up. Always. All right. I love that. I love
And
that.
that's the thing, and that's like even when you're talking to some of your instructors, it's consistency, it's showing up, it's, it's just like everything takes time. I mean,
Yeah.
people go to college, you have to go for 4 years. You have to go for a certain amount of time. You
Yeah.
don't just go to college and walk out 2 months later with a degree.
Yeah.
Everything takes time.
Right.
But, we live in a world where everything's fast. These
Yeah.
kids, everything's supposed to happen fast. It's like, well, doesn't, you know?
So how long did you have classes that only had 6 people in it?
Probably maybe 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
I remember I was only teaching one class. I had other jobs, just like everybody. "Oh, I have another job. This is for fun. This is for fun." So
Yeah.
I was doing my consistent Friday morning class at 9 a.m. in Culver City. and nobody was there. No, there were no other classes that were at 9 a.m. because nobody would teach at 9 a.m. It wasn't a morning studio; it was a night studio where all these young kids came out. So I had to build an audience really from ground up, and just honestly encouraging the students to bring their friends.
Yeah.
Talking to colleagues from my other jobs. I was a bartender at this restaurant. I would tell people, I would
Great.
tell everybody that would come in, "It's Friday, come." And that again, and I always tell people, if you're not excited about what you teach, how is anyone else supposed to get excited about it, you know? So that you have to talk to people.
Yeah.
I would do birthdays. Remember, I was still teaching at this country club, but I would do birthdays. I got the Chambers of Commerce would hire me in Santa Monica to do random events because I knew someone that knew someone. I did a lot of like fundraisers for free. People would hire me to do fundraisers. I did it like again, I would go to people's houses and do random events for kids. I did so many. I did classes at elementary schools just to do for their big fundraiser thing, or was it? I honestly, when it could you really make me think? And I did a lot of random things just to get my face out there. I did. I really did, and that was just so I could get a decent, like, between 30 to 35 people in a studio that would generally fit 50. And then it wasn't until they were like, "You know what? Let's slot you into a Wednesday night." I then showed up, and there were 3 other classes that were just packed. People were everywhere. So I slowly had other offerings where people were like, "Oh, he teaches at night. That's great. I work during the." I can't just like do morning classes because that's a lot of the people that work from home or they're stay-at-home moms. Like it's a very niche demographic. So now I moved on to a Wednesday night. Now I'm bringing a lot of newer, younger kid people. All
Mhm.
those people that I talked to at the bars and stuff were now going, "Oh, where is that class again?" I would get people's emails, addresses, and I slowly started to build an email list slowly. I would start gathering people's emails, let them know what I'm doing. But again, like things were different then because there weren't a lot of social media wasn't as big.
Mhm.
Um, you know, but yeah, it took time. Honestly, I simultaneously I was trying to develop the concept. I wasn't
Mhm.
quite sure if it was going to launch. I had my first 3 teachers that were like, "I want to teach this," and they were teachers that they were people that already taught something at that 2 of the dance studios. They were
Mm.
just like, "Oh, this looks fun," and I was like, "Yeah, I think you guys would be great. I would love a little team of people. Like I feel like I'm alone right now," and so I remember bringing in our training. It was my first training. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm gonna make this up. I made 3-hour training. I knew what I wanted to teach them. It just was like, how do I do this? So it's nice to have little trials. So yeah, it was that studio in Culver City that really helped me realize that the concept would work. And then obviously from that point I then jumped to Brentwood or Beverly Hills, which is a completely different demographic than Culver City. And I had an opportunity at a gym that was very new, not doing very well. And I ended up being the core class that people went to there, where I
Nice.
had other plyo jam instructors go there, and yeah, I mean that it was just that studio is what really solidified me, and where I would that's the studio that if I had any kind of publications or people wanting to write articles, I would say come to that studio so you
Yeah.
can sort of experience it. And that really that I didn't start there until 2000 maybe 16 or 15. So it took time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Love that. Um, I love how you talked about an email list. And I
Yeah.
talked about email lists to my audience. So tell me, when you started with your email list, like, did you have come with a piece of paper to your class? Hey, get on my email
Yeah.
list. Is that how
Yeah.
you did it? Yes.
Yeah. I did, and then I couldn't read their writing. I'm like, is this person's? I don't even know what this letter is. So no, I totally did. And I remember a few of them were like, I'm not getting it. I'm like, did I write your email? So no, I absolutely did. And this again, this was that girl. It's like that girl, the branding girl. She goes, Jason, get a list. Start writing people's email addresses down. Just start putting them somewhere, you know? And then eventually the list got bigger and bigger. And then I created a MailChimp. This was when
Yeah.
MailChimp came out. So I was like, oh, this is fun. Again, like you're just trying to be consistent with not assuming people know that you teach each week, just knowing that they know, but you still want to
Yeah.
like let them know, and then it
Yeah.
gives them an opportunity to then forward that email to friends or
Yeah. Yeah.
they know. It's just like a trickle. If listen, I tell people if you're good, if you're connecting with that person, and if they feel something when they leave, if you left a lasting impression,
Mm.
they will come back and they will tell their friends. I can't tell you. Okay, my husband and I just went to see Nicole Scherzinger in the Sunset Boulevard.
No. Okay.
She left such a lasting impression.
Mm.
I can't stop telling people about her. I'm telling you. I'm telling
Yeah.
all of your people now
Yeah.
listening. She was absolutely breathtaking. So
Mm.
when you leave a lasting impression, people will remember you. We all have that experience going to restaurants and stuff. We've gone to places where you're just like, wow, something about that place. I don't know if it was the server. I don't know if it was the bartender. I don't know if it was the hairdresser. I don't know if it was the masseuse, something. You go to these places and they leave a lasting impression.
Mm.
That's all you have to do. And I'm telling you, people will spread the word if they find value in what it is you're teaching and they felt something.
Thank you. You know, that branding lady, what an angel. She was almost like your coach.
She was. She really absolutely she was the one that put it in my head that I could do this. I was like, "No." She goes, "She can. You're gonna make me successful." I honestly never thought I could do that. And she was the one that sort of put that again, when you have students that believe in you,
Yeah.
they're gonna fill you with all these ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know how you got started, but it happens. You just start getting, you hear this and you're like, oh, I didn't think of that. Or, oh my God, wow, they think that about me. And you start, yeah, honestly, I, I am where I am today, not because of social media. It's all because of leaving a lasting impression, and those people then opening doors to, like, a lot, and I haven't even touched on all the stuff I do, but it just does. A lot of people wanna know, "Well, what did you do for marketing? Like, how much money did you put in and how" where I like, listen, I brought on, my, business partner today. She came on as a co-founder for the company in 2015 because I knew that this was getting to a point where I couldn't do it all on my own, so I needed help. I needed help. Um, and I knew that I didn't have a lot of money, so it's like, how do we scale without
Mm.
having a marketing person on that's getting $80,000 a year, or like it's like you end up doing all of this stuff on your own. People are like, oh, did you do Facebook ads? We tried everything. We
Mm.
tried everything, and the only thing that ever stuck was leaving a lasting impression, and those people spreading the word through social media or through whatever it was.
Mm.
Yeah. Or through like just like, like if somebody sees a video and it's just like, oh my God. It's like, videos that go viral.
Right.
Videos that go viral. Like my business partner Stacy was the first full-figured woman ever to be featured on Pop Sugar Fitness.
Love that.
And obviously they already knew who I ran. They brought her on. Her
Love
video got over 3 million views.
Amazing.
And so many women messaged her and texted her and just was like, "You're inspiring," and came and flooded into our the now online platform that we had created in 2017. But that's how it works.
Mm.
You just have to leave a lasting impression somehow. Yeah.
And she's beautiful. Is she a model, by the way?
No,
Oh,
but yeah, she's good. She's photographed. She's very photographed.
she should be. Wow. Oh, so interesting. So, like, okay, leave a lasting impression. But now, how do you scale now?
Right now, it's a little different. I think that now I'm just sort of I feel like now I'm just kind of coasting. I think I had my highs. Absolutely. COVID, before COVID, I had a lot of really good, I would say, opportunities working with a variety of people. And obviously, I always tell people, when I work with all of these high A-list celebrities or I get into these different like publications, you don't make money with these people. You really don't. It's just looks good. you know, to people, they're like, wow, you did this, or wow, you worked with so and so. It really just kind of pulls you up as an
Yeah,
expert, as
right.
a you don't really make a lot. It's not like these people are claiming there's not a lot of money coming. And so I think what we did was we realized, um, like in 2017, because of a lot of the public publicity and stuff that we were both getting, and I was getting initially, and then I brought Stacy on. We needed something that was going to allow people to see us online, and so we started hosting online classes on Vimeo, because they don't get ripped down, and so we pay them a lot of money, but we're able to house over 400 on-demand classes. At one point, I would say we had at least 18 to 2,000 members. It's then trickled, obviously, COVID just rammed it up, and now people are like, So online's kind of tricky. It's very tricky, but it's definitely a platform that allowed us to bring in, money to
Yeah.
sort of like help, keep us like sort of consistent and keep us going, doing what we can do.
What's great that you were talking about is that you have multiple revenue streams. You've
Too,
got,
yes.
okay. But I heard memberships, online classes, instructor trainings, in-person classes as well.
Yeah, so there are more.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you have to. You can't stay stagnant. You've got to try a little here, a little there. But
Yeah,
don't you find with the online memberships that you're able to get people from all over the world?
all over the world, and that's because if you have videos, if you are someone that's posting videos, anyone can take it. Like it's just it's infinite. Like people anywhere can see these videos. And like I mean, we have members from all over the world.
People who are listening, this guy, he's a huge brand and he's still figuring it out. We're always figuring out. We don't have it all the time. So Jason, looking back, is there anything that you do differently in building Plyo
I know for sure I would have. I know one of the things that I am just like, why did I not do this? Is build my YouTube channel bigger. I mean, I have 26,000 subscribers, which is decent, but I don't think it's good enough. You know, I've done a lot of stuff with like carpool karaoke. I've worked with a lot of people. I'm like, why is my YouTube channel not bigger? What the hell? I've done like collaboration videos with some of the biggest channels, but yet my YouTube channel isn't as big as it should be. And I know it's because the offerings aren't there, the classes aren't there. People that are going to go, oh, I want to see this guy. I'm going to go to that YouTube channel. There's not enough of offerings there. And I wasn't consistent enough. And I'll tell you, I wasn't consistent enough because it's hard to choreograph to non-licensed music that can be monetized. It's hard and it's very expensive. We could do a whole hour on this. And it's hard. And so there's so many different platforms, and I started dabbling into it, and I'm doing it now, but you can spend hundreds of dollars just putting up weekly content that you can monetize, that's commercial, like non-licensed. It's like hard. And so like in order to keep YouTube going, those videos will get shut down or muted. And so my regret is I feel like I should have put more effort into YouTube.
Okay, love
But I
it.
did not.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you for yeah,
I feel very vulnerable right now.
yeah.
You all these
Huh?
deepest secrets.
Yeah. But you know what? We're business owners. Like we don't have it all down. We don't have
No,
it. Yeah.
no, we don't. We really don't.
So Jason, what advice would you give someone looking to grow their classes or even maybe create their own program?
Well, first off, find mentors. Find mentors that if you're looking to build a class or whatever, don't be afraid to talk to other instructors that are successful.
Yeah.
Put your ego aside and figure it out. These guys are successful for a reason,
Yeah.
which is why I started doing like workshops to help instructors grow their classes. Like,
Yeah.
like again, that's not even an easy thing. You know this. You offer CECs. I'm like, I'm gonna offer CECs and I'm gonna teach people how to grow their classes and build a loyal following. Like that's what I like to do. But I would say find mentors, go to other people's classes,
Yeah.
figure out what they're doing, watch them,
Yeah.
like learn from other people, and you're going to it'll help you then self reflect and go, what am I not doing? Am I loud enough? Am I projecting? Am I looking at people? Am I playing music people like? Am I even paying
Yeah.
attention to people in the room? Did that teacher look at me? Like, there's so many things you can learn from
Yeah.
just putting your ego aside and going into another person's class and learning from them.
Absolutely. And
That would be the biggest thing.
right. And even a business coach, because that's great. Learning like great teaching skills and performance skills. I think that's half of it. But learning the business is the other half because there's so many kick-ass instructors who don't know business that can't get people through the door. And then those who are shitty instructors can get people through the door, but then can't retain them.
Oh, absolutely. And this is then this is why you say your podcast when you have the word biz, we are our own business.
Yeah.
This is your business and it's going to be what you make of it. And so if you look at it as a business, you're going to do all of those things that we just talked about over the past 45 minutes in some degree,
Yeah.
you're going to take ownership and try. When you're branding something, it doesn't always have to have its own title. It doesn't have to have a color scheme. It's just you making whatever you teach authentic to you. Your brand could be your freaking first and last name. That is it. There's so many instructors. I remember I was teaching in. There was I don't know. Maybe you've heard of him. Tracy Anderson. That's her brand.
Yeah.
It's her name. Body by Simone. That's her. That's her name. There's it just has to be your name and what it is that you do to whatever makes your different and really wrapping your arms around that difference and making it your own.
Yeah.
And knowing that this is what differentiates you from every other teacher that teaches yoga or that teaches a sculpt class or that teaches a spin class or that teaches bar. Like you are your own, it's you can do whatever you want with it.
Love it. Thank you for that. So Jason, what's next for Plyo Jam?
Well, right now, I think we're just really trying to fine tune our membership offerings. We're really trying to, what I want to see is listen, I love teaching. I want to see the actual online membership sort of just kind of find its growth because the classes are there. I think that there could be outside entities, there are so many businesses that are trying to build their wellness programs that need some kind of wellness programs. I'd like to see if I could get them to buy into sort of using the library almost it's a library of over 400 classes. That library could then be sort of I don't know what you would license or whatever to different business companies that are looking to offer a wellness to their workers or whatever. I don't know. That's a thought I have. I don't know if it would work. But
I like that.
yeah.
Good luck with that. I like that.
I mean, that's kind of an idea, I'm all this hard work. It's sitting there.
Yeah.
So many classes.
You got to keep thinking, stay relevant.
You do. You just have to somehow be consistent and what you need to do is you need to understand that businesses evolve and they ebb and flow. So you have to sort of go with it somehow, and sort of let it find its way and support it somehow.
Yeah. So Jason, where can people find you and learn from you?
Well, I think so. I do have a website, a personal website now. It's
Great.
my basically Jason dash, there's a dash because I just couldn't get my name.com. You hate it when you try to get just your name.com and it's like, why do I have to put a dash? There's a dash. But yeah, so the offerings are on there. I do virtual one-on-ones with people. And everything that I offer is basically, from finding your voice to learning how to communicate better, to learning how to be present better, learning how to sort of build rapport. And honestly, all of this stuff, as you know, and we just went through this, I learned as an actor. I learned as being a bartender. I learned as a singer on a band in front of thousands of people in Vietnam. I learned all of this just by basically like living, and just like, how do I connect? And so it's a big thing. Even being an influencer, I learned a lot of what it meant to be an influencer on social media, and I teach people how to do that inside the classroom. So it's really good. I think a lot of it, like, I feel like people would walk away and go, I feel like I knew that, but I just wasn't really focused on that. I feel like that makes sense. But I never really thought to do it this way. I don't think I'm not really telling people anything crazy. We all do it in some way, maybe not in the classroom, Sometimes we get nervous. Sometimes we don't realize we don't realize, like, oh my God, the person in the back can't hear me. I thought they could. Actually, they can't. So I think that, like, we all do it. I just think that sometimes we have to make sure it's being applied in certain areas in our life. And it's just, all I'm doing is reiterating it.
Jason, thank you so much for all your wisdom, your honesty. It was such a pleasure having you.
Well, this was fun. Like I said, I love talking to other business owners, and it's fun. It's a struggle. But it's also fun and enjoyable. And we're lucky because we hopefully some of us can do this full time, or we can do something we love. Not everybody has that opportunity.
That is true. That is true.
And you want to hold on to it as long as you can.
That is true. Awesome.
So.
And Jason, I would love if you can take us out.
All right, folks, until next episode, go and kick ass.
Yeah. Thank you.
I like that. That's cute.